Roosevelt statue, I think it was less about Teddy Roosevelt, but the other parts of that statue. But in New York, I don't think we've overdone it, and I think it's a healthy expression of people saying, let's get some priorities here, and let's remember the sin and mistake that this nation made, and let's not celebrate it.
Well, that was New York's Governor Andrew Cuomo publicly disagreeing with President Trump about more needing to be done to protect national monuments. Well, with all the social unrest that we have been experiencing since the killing of George Floyd, New Yorkers are demanding the removal of the Theodore Roosevelt statue, which is located in front of the Museum of Natural History, and the museum has agreed to take it down. Protesters in New York have raised questions about the Christopher Columbus statue in Manhattan, citing the explorer's treatment of Native Americans. But when asked about removing that statue, here's what Cuomo said.
I understand the feelings about Christopher Columbus and some of his acts, which nobody would support. But the statue has come to represent and signify appreciation for the Italian-American contribution to New York.
All right, well, joining us now to discuss this is host of the Steve Cortes Show, Steve Cortes, and Kevin McCullough, host of the Kevin McCullough Show. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello. Good to be with you.
Good to be with you. All right, well, we have an interesting situation here. You have Governor Cuomo saying, no, I don't want to take down the Columbus statue because of the Italian heritage. And of course, he's Italian, so interesting point there. But yes, we should take down the Teddy Roosevelt statue because that's more offensive for some reason. Kevin, I'll start with you. You have such disparaging points of view here. I think it's interesting that he's not trying to take them both down when we had Philadelphia's mayor taking down the statue of Christopher Columbus today.
Well, I think the state of New York politics for the last number of weeks and months has been actually a great study in hypocrisy and inconsistency, if you could describe it in two words, because you have someone who's unelected, like Shirlene McCray, the mayor's wife, who's now been put in charge of which monuments will come down for the city. And you have Cuomo, who's just openly pandering in this soundbite to the Italian Americans that he desperately wants to keep happy and keep in his camp. But Teddy Roosevelt seems to be a safe target because nobody's quite sure, especially in the publicly educated circles of New York elected politicians, nobody's quite sure what Teddy Roosevelt did that was so bad or not so bad. And he seems kind of like a harmless thing. And you've got this Indian and this African standing behind him. What they don't know is their history, which means that those two men alongside of Teddy, they're actually represented how forward thinking and how progressive Teddy Roosevelt was. He was very, very ahead of his time in terms of race relations. And it's just a study in ignorance, not to mention the hypocrisy and inconsistency.
Yeah, definitely. Steve, I mean, do you have an issue with it? We've talked to a lot of people who say, who cares? We're in new times now. We should get with the times, and these statues should be removed and replaced with something else that represents where we're at now.
I certainly would push back hard against that notion. I think that, look, if we lose our history, I think we lose our country, quite frankly. And when we look at our history, by the way, that doesn't mean that we gloss over or try to sugarcoat the problems in our history, but it does mean that we view our problems and our iniquities in our past in the context of the exceptionalism that is America. And what we see right now is a movement from the left in this country. It's really a bunch of radical latter-day Jacobins who want to just smash all of our history, particularly the exceptional parts of American history. And this is such a crucial point with Teddy Roosevelt. He's going to get taken away, not Christopher Columbus. Why? For crass political reasons, because Christopher Columbus happens to have a constituency that supports him. The Italian Americans, extremely important in New York City. There's no constituency necessarily lining up behind Teddy Roosevelt, but that's really too bad because Roosevelt was an incredibly tolerant man, particularly in the context of his day, and to me is the most American of American leaders. So I guess I'm not surprised that the left wants him gone, because let's just be honest, what they're really doing is not attacking these statues. They're attacking the very idea of America itself.
Yeah, I think this is Cuomo's rationale there just is so flawed. He says, I want to keep one up because it's come to symbolize something. But the other one, I don't know why it wouldn't symbolize equally something. I mean, what Teddy Roosevelt was doing and all that he accomplished. Anyway, it really shows that there is no standard. It's just what I want at the time until someone else gets canceled out or tells me that it's offensive, and then I'll change too. I mean, it's starting to go way too far. And I want to play you guys one other thing, because, you know, Chris Cuomo on CNN love to talk about state television and some of the conservative outlets that they think give President Trump a pass. Let me play for you the clip of Cuomo on his nightly love fest with his brother Chris.
I'm wowed by what you did, and more importantly, I'm wowed by how you did it. This was very hard. I know it's not over, but obviously I love you as a brother. Obviously I'll never be objective. Obviously I think you're the best politician in the country. But I hope you feel good about what you did for your people.
Kevin, I don't care. I mean, he has every right to do it. But if you're going to do interviews like that with your brother and talk about how awesome he is every day when they're clearly not a success story, then I think you have a hard time criticizing any relationship that President Trump has with any right-leaning outlet.
I'm just trying to figure out what Chris is so impressed with. Was it the fact that Governor Cuomo decided to impregnate every nursing home in the state with COVID-positive patients and killed tens of thousands of seniors unnecessarily? Or was it the fact that he took his hands off of the protests, and though people couldn't bury their relatives except by Zoom and virtual methods, he let thousands and thousands and thousands of people get together in the public parks? I don't know why Chris Cuomo worships his brother almost in like a deification way that he does, but I would like to know some of the rationale behind it, because I can't find any.
Well, I mean, Steve, I think that it's just the fact of the matter is that he thinks his brother does great, and he's a Democrat, and he thinks Democrats do great.
Right. You know, what I really can't stand here is the duplicity, Sean, because, look, it's fine for Chris Cuomo to have a view. And clearly, as he admits, he's very biased toward his brother. But here's what I don't like and why I say it's a duplicity. And I did a lot of sparring in my 2 years at CNN with Chris Cuomo, a lot of verbal sparring on air. And he would many times tell me on air and off air that he's a journalist, that he is an anchor rather than an opinion host. Well, he showed us very clearly, particularly when it comes to his brother, that he is an opinion host, that he's incredibly biased. There's nothing wrong with being an opinion host. I just wish he would be transparent about it, and particularly as it relates to New York State.
That's right.
It's unconscionable that CNN would allow those kind of interviews to go on without the tough questions about the policies that resulted in thousands of preventable deaths in the nursing homes.
You're absolutely right. That is the key point there. You can't pretend that you're a journalist anymore when you're going to be that obvious. And he literally says it. I can't be objective. Gentlemen, thank you very much for this discussion. Look forward to having you back soon.
Sean, Lindsay, thank you.
All right. Well, coming up, baseball is back, but there's going to be a few changes. We're going to discuss them when we come back, so stick around.